Well, friends, the topic for our discussion, as you know, is overcoming anger and a mantra, a formula. There was a question in one of our online sessions. One gentleman asked, I just almost the same words, I put it in under quotation marks, that he said, I feel so helpless in front of my samskaras related to anger. When I am angry, I react to the situation. All my viveka, the power of judgment, is lost. Later, I wonder whether anger samskaras are stronger than my years of efforts to change it. Why is it so? That was his question. Well, it is about anger. And this is one of the eternal questions. Let us search for an answer to this. At the outset, we will ask, what is anger? We all know what anger means. Who has not suffered from it? Anger is an intense emotional state. It can and does lead us into serious physical and emotional consequences. Sometimes we love to justify that to be angry is one of our human rights. It is the right of all, the child, the youth, adult and old. Everyone has the right to be angry. Of course, that is fine. But at the same time, it does not seem to be our right to address the repercussions, consequences. Anger has been very well explained by Sri Krishna. In the 3rd chapter of the Gita, Arjuna asked, what is that force being compelled by which one acts helplessly in a wrong way? Sri Krishna identifies it saying, that is the work of 2 out of 6 of our own internal enemies, Shadripu they say in Sanskrit. He said, it is called selfish desire, kama esha, and it is also called anger, krodha esha. The relation between kama, desire and krodha, anger, is anger is caused when there is obstruction in the way to fulfilling our selfish desire. This obstruction can be in the form of any living being or non-living object. Also, in the end of the 2nd chapter of the Gita, Sri Krishna has given us a very deep insight into how anger is developed and what follows thereafter. We will look into the genesis of anger. We will see that anger is a part or a link of a mental chain reaction that leads us to our own misery. It is like the fire which burns the wood or fuel on which its life depends. As you know, a chain reaction is a series of events, each caused by the previous one. If we want to overcome anger, we have to select a different chain which will produce something else, not anger, and will lead us to our fulfillment, not to our destruction. We will try to look at these 2 procedures in detail. Let me recall those wonderful verses from the 2nd chapter of the Gita. Sri Krishna says, when we meditate on any material object, Vishaya, dhyayato vishayan pungshaha. That is the beginning of the verse. So when we meditate on any material object or material idea, we grow attachment to that object. From this material attachment is born kama or selfish desire. From the selfish desire, krodha or anger is born. This is the place of our anger in the route map of the gradual psychological development of the chain reaction of these types of harmful emotions and their effects. And this path, if enthusiastically followed by us, leads us to our own suffering and finally ruin. The Gita continues, when a person becomes angry, then delusion, moha, sets in. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. Sri Krishna uses sammoha, delusion, pure delusion. Delusion means a state of mind in which we lose the sense of judgment. We mistake the unreal for the real. Delusion guides us to smriti vibhramaha, loss of memory. We forget the teachings and things which we have learnt from the scriptures, from our elders and from our tradition. Smriti Bhramsat, from that, owing to the failing of memory, the intellect loses its capacity to differentiate, to judge, which is called buddhinasha. When the intellect fails, the person pranashyati brings about destruction. Destruction for the effort and also destruction for himself or herself. This shows that when we start thinking about a material object as something real and fulfilling for us, the process of destruction begins its journey. It starts growing horizontally, step by step in intensity and power, overwhelming the host's mind, and eventually it grows into a habit leading to our ruin. Now, if you replace the worldly object by God and meditate on Him, then the whole process takes a different path, a vertical one. This small act of changing the object gives a wonderful scheme or pathway, which is called gati in Sanskrit, to achieve perfection or liberation. We follow the same number of steps, but the lane is reoriented vertically. This is a different chain in which a progressive awareness grows at every level. Like, for example, instead of meditating on matter, if we meditate on God, dhyayata ishwaram pungsa, then we will grow attachment to God. Even though it is also an attachment, but it is called devotion to God. In the original Gita verse, it is mentioned that if you meditate on matter, on any worldly object or idea, etc., that have got some worldly connection, you get attached to matter, vishaya. And the final outcome at the end of the chain reaction is the destruction for the effort and also for the meditator. But in the reoriented process, when you meditate on God or any holy object, you get attached to God. Then the final outcome will be liberation. The attachment to God will not create kama or lust or desire, but unconditional love or prema. There is a difference between kama and prema. Kama, worldly desire, means lust, etc. And prema means love for everyone, prema for God. Then from this prema, this love for God, karuna upajayate, you grow compassion. That means instead of getting angry, you grow more understanding. You understand others' problems. We all have defects and failings. We and others make mistakes. We and others have difficulties too. This wise understanding of the difficulties of others leads to compassion, karuna. You will not be angry. You take your time and look at a problem from the standpoint of the other party. Karuna, this compassion brings about nirmoha, freedom from delusion. When you are free from delusion, all your memories, smriti, will be available to you for an impartial judgment. The memory will be active to help you. When smriti remains available, this memory remains available, it helps us to purify the intellect. This is called buddhi shuddhi. There we saw buddhi nasa, the intellect is destroyed. Here buddhi shuddhi, purification of the intellect or mind happens. Dhi shuddhyasa vimuchyate, that is the ending of this verse, as it could be. When one's intellect is purified, one is vimuchyate, liberated. Sri Ramakrishna has said, pure intellect, pure mind and pure Atman are the same. Hence it is of great importance that we choose a holy object for meditation. A holy object means a goal that won't compel you to be selfish. Then instead of bringing about destruction, our meditation, our engagement with that goal will lead us to liberation. This changed approach delineates the whole psychological process of our journey towards our liberation. This is a wonderful mental science revealed by Sri Krishna in these two brilliant verses. We have to reorient selfish desire into altruistic selfless love. That is the right of all spiritual human beings. It transcends the genetic rights that may be intrinsically selfish. The change of the object changes our anger into understanding. This solution works more on our inner being than on matter. It is aptly said in the book Emotional Intelligence, written by Daniel Goleman, that CEOs are hired for their intellect and business expertise, and they are fired for a lack of emotional intelligence. Anger is a product of our ignorance about our own self and also our ignorance about the difficulties of our victims, the objects we are angry with. Well, a lot of theoretical things can be said about how to conquer our anger. But if we do not work for that, we are not going to achieve any success in that respect. All the good advices given by the scriptures are hinting at a process, which is, if you want to control your anger, be angry on anger itself. In the scriptures it is said, hate the sin, not the sinner. That is our privilege. That is our right. Esha adeshaha, this is the injunction. Esha upadeshaha, this is the teaching. Esha vedopanishad, this is what is called the Holy Scriptures. We may now start wondering, how does the control over anger work? Let me recount an incident. Several years ago, one of our friends in Germany asked for my suggestion about how to reduce anger. Every time when she would be angry, she would herself suffer from its effect for several days. Let us for a moment forget about the suffering of the victim. I advised her to do a simple exercise. We will come to the details of that exercise later. I said, if you practice this for several months or for some time regularly, then you would see that you have achieved success. Well, after about 6 years or so, she approached me again and said that the advice, did not work. That complaint is not something new. Rather, if she would have said that it worked, it would be a surprising aha moment for me. Then I asked her, well, how long do you remain under the influence of anger now, after 6 years? Then she thought for a while and said, yes, earlier I used to be angry for several days, but now I remain angry for a few hours. See the difference. She is still getting angry, but for a shorter time. This is how it works. It actually starts working from the tail end. It reduces the length of the anger. It is like you are slowly reducing it from the tail and coming towards the head. If you want to knock down the head in the beginning itself, it is not possible. That is a mistake we try to do always. There will be huge reaction in and resistance from your own mind. So you have to work on it from the other side, taking the path of least resistance. The length will be reduced, and afterwards, as Sri Ramakrishna has said, anger, etc. will be reduced to their mere forms. They will be there, but they will not do any harm to others and also to the angry person, to the holder. Sri Ramakrishna has said that when a rope is burnt, you can see the shape and size of the rope lying on the ground, but it has lost its effect. No more does it have the power to bind you. Similarly, we may have the appearance of anger in us. We may get angry, but it will not harm us or others. That is why Holy Mother has said that anger is also necessary. Parents, in the process of taking care of their kids, may show their anger to discipline them. But they do not hate the kids. They do not want anything bad to happen to their children. Sri Ramakrishna told a parable of a cobra who was asked by a saint to use the trick of hissing instead of biting in order to scare people away. You cannot and also do not need to eradicate such tamed anger completely until you achieve liberation. Similarly, in some cases, it is necessary that we should use anger as a tool to defend us, defend our rights, and use it for greater good. This is called righteous indignation, righteous anger. That means, and please remember it, it is of utmost importance that we should use it as a tool without being angry ourselves, without coming under the disorienting influence of anger. Let me repeat it once more. This righteous indignation, that is not that an easy thing. We should use a tamed anger as a tool without being angry ourselves, without coming under the paralyzing influence of anger. Then and then only It is not anger as it is, but it is a sincere concern that is justifiable. In order to eliminate a defect or an injustice, we need the highest peace and calmness in our own mind, and in no case anger. In no case anger. Let us look at a few practical advices. A short-term method or a mantra is like this. Let me share a very practical technique which I practiced myself and advised several people about it. They all achieved real benefit out of it. This formula is based on what we have discussed so far. Once someone who was a group leader in a company was going to face a tough situation in their meeting. He asked me, in 3 days or maybe 4 days, I have a meeting in my office and it will be a very difficult meeting for me. Many of the participants are going to attack me. They are planned that way. Would try to unsettle me in order to show me in poor light. In such situations, I lose my balance. What should I do? I said, from today itself, go on practicing a very small mantra. Well, these are not what I am saying. These are all supported by the scriptural advices or instructions. Before going to bed at night or whenever it is a peaceful time for you, I told him, tell yourself, whatever happens in the meeting, whatever way people may try to irritate me, I should not be angry. I should not be angry is the mantra. I should not be angry. You go on feeding your mind with this simple sentence. You will surely succeed in controlling the situation. Because if you get angry, you mix your emotion to the problem. Then you become part of the problem. You lose the power to judge the problem. You lose control over it. Do not attach your emotions to your public image. Attach your emotions like your public image, your stature, your position, seniority, etc. to the problem. Do not attach such emotions like your public image, your stature, position, seniority, etc. to problems. You target the problem and remain focused on the goal. Target the problem and remain focused on the goal. You remind yourself that you have to remain calm to achieve your objective. That way you prove your responsibility and dependability. There is no problem in this world which is just unique. That is, which has happened never before. Every problem, statistically speaking, has already happened millions of times. Humanity has developed mechanical solutions to deal with them, and there are experts who deal with such specific problems. You just become an observer or witness. Then you will be able to look at your anger and also look at the problem simultaneously. That is why the practice has to be started before the problem is really faced. Let me repeat, you have to tell your mind, even if there is a provocation, I should not get angry. I should not get angry. I should not get angry. This is the mantra. This gentleman practiced it and he achieved success, real success. During the whole chaotic exchanges in that meeting, he said, he kept quiet, remembering this target of achieving his goal. And as an undisturbed observer, his mind, his intellect, his memory, everything remained intact and they helped. This is the most wonderful and most effective of all processes. Now let us think of an emergency situation. Suppose you are already in an unsettling situation. you are getting the feeling that you may get angry. At this moment, you need to think this way. If I am angry, I will lose control over myself. Then it will not be possible for this angry me to control me. Then I cannot control the situation. So the mantra here is, I should not get angry again. This is enough, because you do not have time now to think of more quietening thoughts. This method can be practiced to prepare ourselves to face any difficult situation. I am talking about any situation, not only those that would cause anger. In some situations, you may be under pressure to finish a deal or you are pressed for time. Practice this mantra in a different way. Just say to yourself, I should remain calm. Just go on practicing and telling your mind that you want to remain calm. Epictetus says, whenever you are angry, be assured that it is not only a present evil, but you have also augmented a habit and added fuel to fire. If you desire not to be of an angry temper, then do not feed the habit. Give it nothing to help its increase. This is a piece of good advice. To prepare yourself for any demanding situation, you may get technical and expert help from outside, but the main help is you. If you are not prepared, all technical and expert help will create a huge load on you, making you less efficient. Then let us think of a long-term method. The same simple and practical way can be used to overcome anger in all situations and to make that control durable, sustainable. Obviously, we have to work for a longer period of time and with a real wish for a long-term solution. One has to invoke all goodness and divinity in one's own self. That is what we have seen in the reoriented Gita verses. Like, one needs to say to oneself, I have to be in the driver's seat. It is my responsibility to save the situation for me and for others. I have God as my help. Whatever be the provocation or provocative reason that I may have to encounter in practical life, I should not get angry. I should remain calm. At that moment of provocation, let me feel that I am a loving person. This sense has to be inaugurated, augmented. I should win. That should be our resolve, because the situation depends on my response. It will also help if you choose one situation from your life that generally activates a loving feeling in your mind. One needs to practice this prayer every day, just 2 to 5 minutes before going to bed or any time when it is possible. Just try to think of any loving situation in your mind so that the love is generated or aroused inside. To achieve long-term success, one needs to get some support from some living examples of those who are more peaceful and loving. Just think for yourself of a person who you have seen to be happy always. If we observe them and or spend time with such people, it is sure that we will derive much encouragement in this respect. One more thing, if you are fine with it, try to use something like an insignia, a badge on your physical body as a physical reminder that you want to remain calm and you don't want to get angry. You may use a necklace, a chain, a finger ring, a thread on your wrist, etc. Make a vow to control anger and then put on that badge. This helps. Finally, you will see that something like a magic will happen with you. Yes, that is true. Now let me conclude the discussion with the core concept of Vedanta, Vivekaha, differentiation. It says that our soul and Atman is pure and divine, and it is always separate from our anger or our emotions. The practice that I have suggested will help us to act as a silent and distant observer. You will be able to consciously perceive, number one, the turn of events outside, and number two, the change of emotions within your mind. Then and then only can you judge the situation calmly and release your own reaction in a controlled way without getting emotionally involved. Aristotle has said, anybody can become angry, that is easy, but to be angry with the right person and to the right degree and at the right time and for the right purpose and in the right way, that is not within everybody's power, and it is not easy. So, we need to practice discernment, viveka. We need to practice the two practical ways that I have already mentioned. That is more than enough. They are more than enough. If you practice this way, you will experience that you and your anger are two separate things. Your anger will then turn itself into an object like an obedient dog. You can keep it under control, and when a need arises, you can use it sensibly, in a calibrated manner, in a regulated manner. At the end, I have the proud privilege to introduce a magician. Last but not least, it is true that after good practice, you can regulate anger skillfully. Still, this skill takes you much further, deeper into your own effort to feel proud of yourself in this matter. To feel proud of yourself. You will not only reduce the length or the after effect of anger, but a magic will happen. You will suddenly discover that you, my dear friend, you have become a magician. The magic that you will perform is, just hold your breath for a second. You will feel well at ease. Surely you will feel well at ease to say the word sorry. And you will say it meaningfully. This priceless word, sorry, is one of the few blessed words created by human culture and found its place in our dictionary. And friends, when you have said sorry, what you have done, you know. You have at last hit the anger on its head squarely. You have hit the anger on its head squarely, right there, successfully and for the first time. What is success? It does not take much effort and power to be angry, but it takes a lot of courage and strength to say sorry. It proves our strength, that we have been able to harness our reaction in a civilized way. Our actions do not prove our inner culture, but our reactions do. Sorry is a very powerful and benevolent word. It is more powerful than anger. Sorry is a benign power which saves millions of hopeless situations, solves millions of problems, and makes you million times more responsible and dependable. Whereas anger unleashes devastating effects and shatters you and your image. We have to remember that saying a sorry does not show us in poor light. Never. Rather, it displays our inner culture. It does not end any ongoing task halfway. Please remember this. We will still have time, peaceful time, to finish any work, and we do not lose but win. What can be a better solution than releasing our own spiritual skill to organize our own behavior and our own life? I wish you much success, Godspeed. Thank you very much. Now I welcome your questions.
I have a question.
Yes.
This is Kunal Ghosh. While you practice, you told us how to practice from before so that we do not encounter when the time comes, I am calm. While we have not yet reached that, we are trying. If in the meantime a situation happens when I do become angry, is there any mantra, is there anything I can do in the midst of the anger to remind me that, this is happening? Can you, just like you said that once we take that, we wear a thread or something to remind us, is there anything I can do when I have set on the path of being angry? I'm getting very, very angry. Thank you.
Yes, I have discussed two methods, but also in between I told if in case of any emergency you are inside that situation, then what you can do. So the same thing, you are already inside the situation and you know that you are getting angry. Then you have to think there is not much time left for you. You just think that if I get angry, I am going to lose my control over everything. So I should not get angry, I should not get angry. The same mantra you have to practice at that time. Because inside that explosive situation, you don't have much choice. So try to practice that within yourself. Nothing more. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Maharaj.
What was the written question? That is the idea, yes. How to control the anger on the spot, yes. This is how you can do, but once it is over, then you start practicing. And you will see that you have got control. Within a very short time, you will get control over the things.
Swami?
Yes.
First, thank you very much for this very useful satsang. I have a quick question, if that's okay.
Yes, of course.
I was thinking about the situations that you described, and I believe, maybe it's also my lack of interpretation, but I believe there's also situations where we do not necessarily have an external provocation that makes us react with anger, at least not in a perceived way, but that anger may sometimes spring up, let's say, without us necessarily realizing what is provoking us. For example, the meeting that you described, a situation that we can anticipate. I was just thinking, I'm sure what you've told us can be applied also to this situation, but I was wondering if you had any further thoughts, let's say, in these moments when you have a sudden anger springing up, let's say, like this. I hope that's clear.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you very much. That is also one very important question, because I have not addressed all these things in detail, but it is included in the long-term method, because we do have some samskaras which we cannot refer to our experiences in this life or we cannot remember how it came into us. But they are stored up in our chitta. Chitta means in our store of the inside the mind. We do not call it collective unconscious or anything like that, but it is a subconscious mind which has a store of many such impressions from earlier birth. Or maybe we witnessed something, as Freud says, when we are not very conscious about things around us, but we have seen and we experienced something, and those things are still there in the back of our mind. So sometimes some such promptings come from within, make us disturbed or angry, and we cannot refer to any evident cause of that anger. Then it must have been caused by something which is very deep inside our mind, and that is the hard disk or storehouse of our impressions. So that is why when we do this long-term method practice, then slowly the possibility of those samskaras popping up in our mind without alerting us beforehand, that will slowly get reduced. That is how this question has been addressed in the Yoga Sutras. So we have to practice that way, and also in the Yoga Sutras we discussed this point that when we are angry, then we have to be careful that we are not practicing enough love within ourselves. So therefore the anger is getting enough space to come up. So practicing love also is a very big thing. So this happens, this is true, but long-term practice will help and reduce such occasions, and maybe you will be able to overcome them really effectively. Thank you. I think that clarifies your doubt.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yes.